Welcome, friends. This is the Art of Aliveness podcast, and I'm your host, Chrissy Marie. It's a space where we explore how to nurture life force energy through the path of creativity, curiosity, compassion, courage, and connection. Let's dance. Hello, my friends. I'm back again with a friend and a dear client of mine. This is Grace. Grace is going to be sharing a bit more about herself, and we're also going to be talking about her client journey, where she was when she came into my field, which was actually quite a while ago. But when she started working with me and how the journey's been and some of the benefits that she's received. And you're still along for the ride, Grace. So this is about our 8 or 9 month mark. So yeah, let's dance. Say hello and anything that you would like to share about yourself. It could be a fun fact, something quirky, something completely random, whatever is your flavor of the day.
Well, hello.
Hello.
I just want to first share the absolute excitement that bubbled up for me when I heard your little opening jingle, because I listened to you. This kind of plays into everything. I listened to your podcast for, I don't even know how long, but I listened to it for a while before actually reaching out to you to potentially work together. And I loved it. Like every single podcast episode had something for me, and it was just very simple, yet so, I don't even know the word for it, but everything just hit for me and just made sense and was so easy to integrate. And that's exactly how it's been working with you thus far.
Wow. Well, thank you. Yeah, I don't know where I started that jingle. It just kind of unfolded and now it's the thing. It's the opening thing.
It's precious.
So yeah, so maybe just tell people where you were at when you reached out to me. What was it that kind of sparked, because you've been listening for a while, what was that thing that sparked the outreach, and what were some of the things you were desiring some support with?
I actually really just want to take it back even further before I answer that. But the first time, gosh, this must have been years ago, because the first time that I was ever aware of you, I don't think either of us have ever figured out who friended who or how we ended up Facebook friends. But really just your energy and your presence, your aesthetic, I was just like, oh my gosh, who is this person? And just like the podcast episodes, I felt like I was getting so much value just from the things that you were pondering and posting about. And I've just been really drawn to you for quite some time. And then that kind of led up to me reaching out, which was a huge deal. I was so scared to, but I finally did, and it's been the best. I am someone who I really enjoy self-improvement. I discovered that whole realm, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago at this point. And I am just I've been so enthralled for such a long time with reading books and learning from people who just are doing really cool things in their lives, really beneficial things, really unique things that seem to be really working for them. And that's what I saw in you and the kind of content and things that you were posting. And I kind of go through seasons. Sometimes I like to read a book and learn that way. Sometimes I'm really fascinated by a topic and I want someone who is walking that path to mentor me or show me the way, or any kind of guidance or direct support I can receive that way. So that's where my consideration for Prism came into play.
And Prism is what I've been calling my one-to-one journeys, just for context, if anybody's popping on that's new. And that stands for lots of things, but the essence is a journeying around play, radical relating to ourselves, intuition, simplicity, and then magnetism, like calling in the types of connections that we desire to engage with. So I love this, and perhaps because I think it's really common when I mean, at least for me, speaking from personal experience, signing up to work with somebody is a big deal. It's a time commitment, it's an energy commitment, it's a financial commitment. And any one of those factors, there could be some doubts. It's a relational commitment, there's an intimacy factor involved, right? And so, yeah, what would you be willing to share about, like, what were some of those things that you were unsure about, and how do you feel about that now? Like, what changed along the journey, or what was helpful in the way that I kind of engaged with you around those elements of reservation?
Mhm, mhm. Well, so being someone who has been really into self-improvement, life coaching, there's so many terms, so many different things. I actually have been engaged in a program in the past, similar span of time, which is a big commitment, basically a year of your life. And so that can be kind of a daunting thing. But I have done a coaching program in the past, and it was so many things. It was exciting. It was helpful. It was very kind of like uprooting. At the time, I thought in good ways, but in hindsight, I went in thinking that I was going to accomplish certain things that after I finished the program, in hindsight, I really didn't. And it was this huge emotional thing for me. It was because of this program in my past, it was really hard for me to come to a point of trusting with going into Prism with you. And so it took a lot of time, consideration, discernment. I listened to your podcast. I took in a lot of the content that you were putting out, and I just checked in with myself every time to make sure, like, do I really feel like this is going to help me? Am I going to experience regret like I had with my previous program? Because I had done, a 9-month coaching program. And there were certain things about your flavor, your style, and just like what you bring to the table that just felt a lot more grounded and safe. And that has been absolutely that. I kind of took that all over, but
No, really, really powerful. I think just to boil it down to essence, what you're saying is that you had an experience that was really powerful, and it was uprooting in ways that, could have been a little bit dysregulating, or maybe there was just
Mhm.
wishing that you had gotten something different out of the space. And because of that, there was a sense of, is this space going to be overstimulating? Is this space going to be an echo of the last space? And what you found is it actually felt quite grounding and safe for you.
Mhm. Mhm. Spot on, exactly. And then another thing that I really wanted to speak to with that question from you was, I'm not remembering the exact wording of the question, but I do want to make it clear that I was really intimidated to reach out to you.
Hmm.
And because I mean you had so much availability, you were so accessible, but because I was dealing with that with my past experience, I really was not wanting to initiate a conversation of, hi, I'm interested in working with you. I'm not sure. Like I had some pause with coming to you and just not being sure that I wanted to work with you, especially because part of my past experience was, if anyone is familiar with like the life coaching world, it was could be kind of salesy and forceful, and I didn't really know you. I knew that I loved so much about you without ever having spoken to you, but I just really did not want to engage in that again.
Mhm.
And so I was hesitant to even talk to you. I didn't know how to reach out to you. I was like, I think I went through your website like 20 times. And I mean, like, through your whole landing page, like going through everything, like, yes, 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 I'm vibing. This is good. Okay. And then, like, it got to a point where I could reach out to you in a multitude of ways. What I finally did was, I think you said, like, this is an offering, this is something I do, this. And at the very bottom was like, also, if you just want to say hi, here's my email address. And I think that's what I ended up doing.
Yes.
I think I was just like, hi, this is who I am. This is what I'm feeling. And I'm pretty sure I was just really like honest with exactly where I was,
Yeah.
which in hindsight, I mean, that was like the perfect step forward into this whole process.
Beautiful. I love that. I did, and I remember thinking you were somebody else too. I remember thinking that I knew you when you reached out to me. I was like, "Oh, it's Grace that I met in this other program," and so I had a very familial, conversational attitude, which I would have anyways. But it was funny when I realized, nope, that's not who I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
I love that though, and I think that's helpful to mention because I've had that experience of stepping into spaces where I feel pressured, where my nervous system, my intuition does not have space to kind of recalibrate to the big decision at hand. And then I've spent in spaces that have really honored that. And I want to just nod to all of the beautiful practitioners that have offered that for me and modeled what it looks like to hold a very open unattached space, and honoring the bigness of a decision like this. So yeah, if anybody's ever been, curious and just wants to say hi via email, like, hey, I'm curious about working with you, that is an option, and we can absolutely jump on a quick chat. But thank you for sharing that. I really, really honor your process with all of that. I'd love to hear, like, what are some of the big benefits, big changes or shifts that you've experienced in your life since journeying with me?
Yes. So for relationships, I have I have a very unique relationship, at least in my mind, where my partner Andrew and I are very honest with each other, like incredibly honest with each other. We will just be really open with each other and say things that are, we share the hard truths is a one way of putting it. Um, but I wanted support around, oh, this is cool. Okay. I wanted support in my relationship because I am so happy in so many different facets of my relationship with him. But sexuality, I had this kind of like kink in my system that was creating kind of painful issues during intimacy. And through working with you, like at this point right now, I have gone through something that was so terrifying to me. Now I realize without your support, I'm not sure I ever would have faced it, like had the courage to face it. Um, but I'm really exploring through the Wild Feminine book that you recommended. I'm exploring my root. I'm like getting into the anatomy of my root, of my sexual organs, things that I've really honestly never paid close attention to. I've been reclaiming feminine ground, which is just, I am someone who I consider myself pretty masculine in a lot of ways. And I'm just learning how much of my femininity that I either was ignoring or like pushing away very forcefully. So at this point, there's been a big release I've sought out help from a pelvic care practitioner that's been so lovely. It's just things that I would have been either not aware of or just terrified to face. And things have just softened, and things have been so much flowier. And, I'm not going to say like, I'm healed, I'm there, but like such good progress. And everything feels at this moment in time a lot, yeah, just like a lot flowier.
Mm.
There's a lot more flow. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where we are with relationships. But what I mentioned that I wanted to say was that when I started with you, I was a few months in and I was experiencing so much benefit, like so much benefit. It was apparent to me, it was apparent to people in my life, and especially with Andrew, my partner. And so there was this interesting kind of like tip in the scales where he witnessed me improving so much and just growing so much. And then a part of him kind of got scared, like, I don't want to share too much on his behalf, but he started looking at my process and desiring the kind of support that I was getting. And so I, as you know, brought it to you. And I was like, this is happening. My partner wants support. I want my partner to have support. And I was kind of stressed about it. I know Andrew, I've worked with you. I knew that you two would be, have a beneficial relationship. And then I love that you not only offered like the flexibility of, okay, well, sometimes maybe I will have sessions with Andrew. Sometimes I can have sessions with both of you. Like the flexibility that you provided, it's been so good for both of us individually and collectively.
Mm.
It's been awesome.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, since starting to integrate Andrew into sessions, what's changed between the two of you, or what has expanded between the two of you?
Well, gosh, I could really go into this question. There's a lot of answers that are bubbling up in me. But it's nice he's also in a healing profession. And I think previously we'd been assuming these roles with each other where he would go out and he's an introvert and he will heal and he will put himself into healing, helping other people all day long. And then he would come home really depleted. Sometimes, not all the time. And I think I would assume this role of support. Like he comes home, I support. And it's something that, if I have the capacity, it's an honor to do. But I didn't always have the capacity. And for him to have you as this support, it's just created this really nice equilibrium in our relationship. It's like we both feel held. And we're both learning how to kind of build the boundaries with each other, like seeing him and how he can grow and expand by being supported by someone outside of me. It just kind of brings the scales back in balance a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that comes from that. And it's kind of really, that part is new. That's all still unfolding, but it's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pleasure to work with both of you. And it is a very unique situation in which your partner is open and you had committed to the longer prism journey. There's stages of prism, and so you had those sessions kind of in the bank to offer him, to bring him in and to work together. So it's been really lovely to watch you guys unfold, and that piece on support is so important in relationship. It's important that we have support systems that we can lean on outside of our primary partner, so that when the primary partner needs their space, needs to relax, needs to regulate their nervous system and can't hold space, there's other options. So I love that. That's benefiting from that.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Oh, What else is, I'd love to hear what else in terms of the friendship piece. I know we've talked a lot about just how your state of being has shifted, your perspective has changed, and when it comes to social kind of gatherings and boundary setting and all of those things. So just anything that's bubbling up that you'd like to share about that would be helpful to hear.
Sure. I had actually, I forget where I saw this online. Somewhere online, I saw this thing that was like, I think it was a millennial who posted it. It's like, man, they talk about breakups and how romantic breakups are so hard. What about friendship breakups? I'm really struggling with this. And I'm like, yeah, like I feel that. It was this totally unanticipated part of me kind of transitioning into what I consider adulthood. I had these core friends that, in ways, I think I kind of outgrew. Like when I got into self improvement, self development, certain habits of mine changed. And then it would make sense for the landscape of my friendships to change. I stopped drinking. And when you stop drinking alcohol, it's like certain drinking friends kind of fall away. And I really had trouble, and still do. It's not this linear one and done, it's in the past kind of thing, but it definitely was so debilitating before I came to you for support with it. I was just really struggling. I was just going through these like waves of grief, and I was attempting to make new friendships and had the awareness that the pain from old friendships falling away was building up walls and kind of interfering with me making new friendships easily. And like it would get to a point where I would like somebody and be like, ooh, potential new friend. And then the fear would set in and I would sabotage somehow, like distance myself and oh my gosh, we've recently moved to a small town. Like I just was having so much trouble. I was having so much trouble to the point where I was crying on the bathroom floor one day about it, like just so wrecked about it. And this was before I decided I wanted to start working with you. But I was working with a BetterHelp therapist, and it felt good to be heard. I enjoy a lot about talk therapy. It felt so good for me to just air out, to borrow your term, to air out what was going on inside of me. But the support that I received back, it just felt kind of minimizing. And I still was just really struggling. But I've brought it to your container. One of the most powerful pieces, and of course it's been happening in pieces, like through dreams. I feel like I've been working on things subconsciously, but I was really in it. Like the feelings were back, all the like the shame, me trying to figure out what's wrong with me that I would lose these friendships. Like this whole messy internal process was happening. And I think before your container, I would have tried to run from that, like eat some food about it or, but I just kind of, the feelings were coming to this really big, intense, it was either ignore it or face it. And I didn't really know how or if I wanted to face it, but I just kind of stayed with it and just like let myself really, my internal process was like, yeah, turn this up, let's listen to it, like turn the volume up. Even though your body is freaking out about it and everything feels, just listen. And somehow I thought that I was grieving because of like how painful the friendships ended, but I was able to sit down and think about like what I was grieving. And I just wrote down like the things that I missed about my friends. And there were things that my brain hadn't let me access before that because it was so painful. I didn't want to I didn't want to revisit the friendships. I didn't want to think about any of it, good or bad. I just didn't want to let any of it affect me in the present. So I let myself focus on the good. like all the parts of the friendships that I really miss. And there are things that I hadn't thought about in so many years. It was just the painful exit that was staying with me. And I have not, I mean, I physically wrote those things down on a piece of paper. Like, I miss being in my friend's living room and not worrying about what I look like or what I'm saying. I'm not filtering myself. I'm just being with someone. They want to be with me. I want to be with them. We can just chill and like watch movies. I miss my goofy friends' wit, and I miss the interaction between us and that energy that comes up when you're like goofing off with someone or, you know, doing characters with each other. I hadn't thought about that in so many years, but I just wrote down all the little things that I miss. And then I folded it up and buried it in the garden in the back. I haven't felt the pain in a long time because I finally just like sat down and saw what was underneath it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say that like the essence of that is instead of numbing the discomfort, you've been more willing to face it and feel it and move it through your system?
Mm-hmm. And that's something that in my previous coaching experience, you know, I hear all these like buzzy terms like feel it to heal it and like all these things. And I'm like, yeah, but how the fuck do you do it? I don't know. Like, I would try so hard to just like do it. And
Yeah.
that's a whole other story, is like that's kind of that was the energy of that container, was like more like almost like hustle, like, you know, work to get it done kind of thing. And I get that never really worked for me, but I finally just got to a point where I could decide and like felt trust in myself to do it. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think made this particular experience different for you or more unique than other experiences?
I I believe that it's your unique combination of, here we go, BetterHelp. It was talk therapy. It was by the book. It was, in my opinion, surface level. And I don't mean to like bad talk BetterHelp. I had one experience with one therapist. I could have kept going with that medium and that could have been a different, you know, outcome. But there's that therapy that didn't really get deep enough for me, for what I wanted, for what I knew I needed.
Hmm.
And then there's the life coaching experience that I had. It was uprooting. It was very intense. The intensity could be effective at times. It could be harmful at times. And then you kind of marry these two worlds along with just, in my opinion, you have this really unique level of discernment where not only will you kind of pick and choose the modalities, the ways of doing things that work for you, but you really own them. Like, you really own them to a point where you, like, you're very much in integrity and you exude that. So when I'm working with you, I mean, in your podcast episodes, I hear you often say the term like permission slip. Like, it's almost like a permission slip to turn around and do the same thing or try on the same way of doing things. I don't even know what I can say about it. It's just, it works. It works for me.
Mm. Yeah, it sounds like it's for you, it's like the integration of like the talking, the kind of stepping outside of the comfort zone, right? There was like this superficiality over here. There was like this real deep depth over here. And it was finding your Goldilocks zone essentially of, you know, stepping into the depth, but not too much that you would shut down, just enough that you could hold yourself in that space and kind of stretching your capacity to do that gently. And the invitations, it sounds like it was helpful for you to receive, you know, permission slips and invitations to try things on and make them your own, or release them if they didn't serve you. No
Mhm.
like strict this is what we're going to be doing. This is how you have to integrate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh. How has your like perspective of the world or of yourself changed?
There's been something really lovely that has happened where I have all this like book knowledge of self-improvement. I have that kind of worked its way up to it kind of increased in levels of directness. Like it would be, I would just study concepts and then I would put things into practice. Like it became more practical. And then I would notice gaps in what I was practicing. And then I would go to like virtual workshops that certain coaches, it kind of, grew and grew and grew. But one thing I'm noticing in this space, and something that you and I have actually discussed before, is there have been certain things that I know you should do to improve your life. But whether it was books or workshops or working with others in the past, I just never really got there, or like it never really clicked. They're clicking in this container on a deeply subconscious level. And what I'm talking about specifically is I've studied boundaries. I've known, of course, like not everything, but I've known things that are important around boundaries. And, it's like I've studied the manual, the how-to manual, studied, tried practicing. It's kind of terrifying. Setting boundaries can be in the beginning. I think it's really scary. But something really fascinating started happening in the first few months of working with you, where I was setting boundaries with people in my dreams. Even some of the friendships that I had been processing in your container, even though I was feeling all this pain, I was like putting my foot down in my dreams and just like telling these people like what they did and how they hurt me. And here's, here's how things are going to go going forward. These are people that I don't talk to, haven't talked to in years, but it's been so nice to just have things like that. Like that's one example, setting boundaries. It's been so nice to get to a point where it just clicks. And it's not even something that I did. It's not even a homework assignment that I completed. It was just, I don't know, talking to you in the way that I talk to you, and the transactions between us and what my attention is brought to, and the way I'm guided through things. It's all very empowering. And because of that, I'm not just studying the how-to, it's actually just clicking like on a really deep level. Which is incredible. I mean, what happens as a result is I just kind of like watch things in my life fall into place in ways that I was always hoping that they would, but felt like I was trying so hard to like make them fit. And now they're just falling in. That's just one example. There are a few others, but that I can think of now. But I mean, that's been a big one for me, setting boundaries. So
Yeah. You're welcome to share any other examples that you feel are relevant if they're bubbling. Oh, we both just reached for our glass at the same exact time. Look at those mirror neurons firing. Cheers. I'm curious if you're open to sharing about the inner child pieces. How has the work impacted your relationship with your inner child? And it could be the playful bits, but it could also be, any of the other wounded parts that you have sat with.
Yeah, I can definitely remember my first even introduction to the idea of an inner child. I think actually was like years and years ago in a yoga studio. And I think the seed was planted then, and I was like, that's okay. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, but all right. And then there was a time that I was really into guided meditation tracks. I mean, that comes in seasons. I'm actually back into it. But there was a guided meditation about inner child working with the inner child that I enjoyed. I didn't complete. And then I had a really, really just deep, this is back to that depth that I wasn't quite getting in other places, or I was getting like too much of, I don't know about depth, but like stimulation with the depth. But with you, it was like it was this appropriate level of depth to meet. It was probably one of our first sessions, but like to meet my inner child. And ooh, it still kind of gives me chills. Like it was such a, I'm thinking in hindsight and with what I'm sharing about the guided meditations, I'm thinking that she was kind of unreachable in a lot of ways back then. And then you led me through this, it kind of went on this journey to, it led into a visualization and a moment where I spoke to, like, just got to have a conversation with my inner child, which, it's like, I feel like I've done that with the guided meditations. Like, we interacted, okay, that was great. No, like, you had me in my mind's eye, having talked, and you have this really nice way of getting me in my body too. So it's not just like this head game, it's like I'm really in myself, in my body. And I could meet my inner child around this really shameful instance. It was around my voice. I remember now. It was around my voice. And I got to just like sit there and have a conversation with my inner child. It was a little bit trippy. It was really impactful though, because I had never just tried to have a conversation with baby Grace.
Yeah.
And it was intense and it was kind of scary. And it was this whole exchange of like, once I actually had met her, there was this transaction of emotions and feelings, because I had gone so long without ever having known her or trying to meet her. And so that's intense, like meeting yourself for the first time in that way. But it really planted some like powerful seeds of like, now I'm just kind of, she's there. And I understand a little bit more now how I react, me, Grace Wise, as a person navigating the world. Like there's actually like a younger me at the wheel sometimes. Like sometimes she just kind of floats in and out. And it's been so helpful. It's been so helpful to understand that she's around and that she's at the wheel in certain situations. And not only being aware of her, but having met her and we have a rapport now, it's like, it's really nice. I can kind of make a split second decision to maybe do something else, to enter a situation another way or react to a person in a different way. It makes room for some compassion where there wouldn't have been before, or I don't know. I'm not quite sure on examples, but it's just nice. It's nice to be connected to yourself in that way.
Yeah. Well, those examples feel very clear in that, there's something so powerful to be said about having a pause between a stimulant and your response, and having that, and within that pause, being able to connect to yourself and take a moment to garner some compassion or some presence, or even just like a deep breath and recognize, oh, okay, there's layers to what's moving through my system right now, and remembering that like we're multidimensional, and we can connect to those layers if we so choose. Like there's choice in our responses and who we respond from in terms of layers. Is there anything, if you drop in, is there anything else that feels like it wants to be shared? It's like a last, like, I'm taking this away too.
I'm just thinking it's so cool to know that there could be someone listening to this podcast considering working with you, or like having just been following you for a while. I'm thinking of like me. I listened to this podcast, I would work a jigsaw puzzle, like just be in my own little space. It's just so neat to think that someone could be listening to this and receiving benefit like I was listening to this podcast.
Mm.
That's just such a cool thing for me.
Yes, yes. And like I know for a fact that people are going to message me with benefit. They're gonna be like, wow, I really resonated with Grace. So much value.
But my armpits are sweating just thinking about that. So
Yes. The service sweat. I love that. I'm very grateful for you coming on and sharing. This can be vulnerable. It can be sensational to come on and share. It can create sweaty armpits, and that's all well and beautiful. And I love that you're here with your sweaty armpits, and I'm here with my sweaty armpits, and people are getting exactly what they need out of this. So thank you. And is there anything that you'd say, to anybody, if you could kind of like speak to your younger self or somebody who's considering working with me or questioning just a support relationship in general, right? It doesn't have to be with me. What would you say to somebody who's considering support?
maybe if someone is commiserating, because at times I was kind of in this like, ooh, like I know I need support. I feel like Chrissy would be so like just my flavor of support. Like I just had such a good feeling about it. But again, I had all these like past feelings around being coached. If anyone had a conversation with you, here it is. Here's what it's coming to. If anyone has a conversation with you, they'll be able to make the best decision for them, like for themselves. Mm-hmm. I understood talking to you that I could trust you. And that was huge for me. And that is a testament to how you provide support and service is it's very centered around me. Like it's very, I'm never taken away from like my intuition or like coaxed or persuaded or any, it's just you provide a way for me to really get closer to my true answers. And that's everything for this kind of work.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. You're glowing too. Like your whole face is illuminated by the sun right now.
I can feel it. I'm like, oof.
I am a big fan of being in the sun too. I feel like I must have been a cat in another lifetime because I just put the sun right in my eyes. It's where I'm most happy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Gorgeous. Well, thank you so much, Grace. Is there if anybody wants to connect with you, are you open to sharing any ways that they could connect? If somebody's resonating with who you are as a person and you want to make a new friend and you want to connect with Grace and be friends with Grace?
Listen, friendship applications are wide open.
Yes.
That's a little tough though. I'm not really on social media. I'm kind of on Instagram. So maybe do I share like my handle with you or do
you could, yeah, you could share your handle or email or whatever way you feel is most aligned if people want to connect and be friends.
You know what? Send me a gosh darn email because I don't check social media enough. I'm barely on it. Yeah. And that is gracefwise@gmail.com.
Gorgeous. gracefwise@gmail. I'll put it in the show notes so people can connect with you. Grace is taking friendship applications, so please reach out if you think she's amazing, as she is. Yes. Any now I want to open this up as like a tell us about yourself. Do you like long walks on the beach? What do you desire in friendship?
That's where my mind was going. I like cats. I'm previously a dog person, but I'm all about the cats now. Dogs are still, I still love them. We can talk about anything. Plants. I'm into plants. I like games, board games. I like puzzles. I really just now that I've been through Chrissy's container, I'm just fascinated with getting to know people and like playing with their essence, like see how we interact. I like experimenting, I guess you could say. I don't know. Here, why don't you sell me? You sell me as a friend. You know me now.
I'm already
What would you
thinking of
say?
people I can connect you with. Grace, what I love about you, what I love about you is your honesty, your openness, your willingness to see yourself from all angles and be really transparent with yourself and meet yourself fully. I love your like insatiable curiosity for growth. It's just delicious to me. Your love for plants, your love for all things health as well, very much resonate there. And your sense of humor, you are hilarious. And I think you match me with faces. Like, if you want somebody who's going to also make weird faces with you, definitely connect with Grace. You're just a beautiful, bubbly, delicious human being that I love and adore. And Alyssa, if you're watching this or listening to this, I think you guys should definitely connect, and I will connect you guys later. But I have a person for you that I think you'd have a lot of fun talking to. Yeah, and actually, she's doing some jewelry making, some energy healing. So the Etsy stuff might kind of come full circle in some way, shape, or form. I'm just feeling seeds of this wafting on the air.
Love it. Yes. Yes.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you again for coming on. You guys know where to find me, but if you're popping onto this as your first podcast, everything is under theartofaliveness.com. You can say hi via email at hello@theartofaliveness.com. All my offerings are there, but if you just want to jump on a call and talk payment plans, talk bespoke offerings, I'm very flexible. So please just come say hi. I don't bite. I will make weird faces. And if you can handle that, then you're my people. What else? You can also find me on Instagram at Come Alive with Chrissy. And I do have a couple things coming up. So if you want to do some group stuff with me, take yourself less seriously is my 3-month group immersion that's coming up in 2 weeks. So beginning of November, we're going to do our second iteration of that. And that's a journey on reconnecting to play, loosening our buttholes, releasing perfectionism, just having more fun in our day-to-day lives. Yes. And then I also do one-to-one work, and I have a monthly membership too. If you want like a low ticket way of kind of getting into my space for $33 a month, you can join my Voyagers membership and do some breath work and check out some of my teachings and things like that. So lots of ways to connect, but if that's all overwhelming, just come say hi like Grace did, and we can, yes, we can talk shop. So have a beautiful, oh, you have a question. Sorry, I thought that was
Yes.
like a woo woo. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, always, I'm your cheerleader, but I can hear the outro music in my head now, and I just want to ask you, since we're here, what's the choice? What's the source?
Oh gosh, I wish I could tell you where I found that. I paid for it on a website that sells like little intro and outro music. The song is called Vibra, and I love chill hop and lo-fi music, so that's what that is. So chill hop, lo-fi, you can YouTube chill hop or lo-fi. It's great background music for doing pretty much anything, like cooking, cleaning, getting down with your partner, studying, good stuff.
Mm, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. All right, loves. I trust that if you've gotten to the end, you've gotten what you've needed. And until next time.